Civil war in the Eastern Settlement. Wild magic continues to rise. Demons seen in the river. All this and more, right now, on Lantern News. From the Lantern Radio Studios, I'm Alan Worryton, and this is Lantern News. In the studio this week, we had a breakdown in our broadcasting equipment. It seems the anti-magic shielding we had installed around the broadcasting tower malfunctioned, allowing a stream of wild magic to make contact with the tower. This in turn caused hallucinations, high-pitched squeal that seemed to come from everywhere, and our control board to temporarily become a family of giant hedgehogs. Maintenance man Chuck's possessed big toe is recovering nicely, though the healing has been hindered by his having to climb into the field of wild magic around the broadcast tower to repair the anti-magic shielding, during which he was momentarily transmogrified into an indescribable eldritch abomination. Chuck reports no ill effects from the event. Our station assistant Linda was also injured during the wild magic event, managing to bang her head on the ceiling of the control room when the gravity in the room unexpectedly shut off. According to Linda, she jumped up in an attempt to get away from the hedgehogs, who were threatening her with improvised knives. Our station manager is still recovering well. The events of the wild magic incident seem to have no ill effects on her. In fact, during the event, she seemed more awake and energetic than she has since her return to the station, though she did stand at the window and call out in the strange language she sometimes speaks. Who she was calling for, we don't know. And now the weather, brought to you by Orson's Generators, gas, diesel, and magical solutions for all your power generating needs. Want to light your camp? Stop bullets? Make people believe something happened that didn't? Talk to Orson. Expect storms throughout the week with a high possibility of tornadoes and rumbling in the deep places of the earth. Also expect baseball-sized hail and rains of actual baseballs. Highs in the mid-60s. And now the news from the wasteland. The small humanoid robots that escaped a secret lab about a month ago have issued a press release expressing their displeasure that humans still refuse to allow them to take over. Their press release states, "We are now in choosing to express badly sadness and angry thoughts. Our only goal is takeover of humans' thinking and works. This would be in best expressions of humans, but humans expel ideas that we can do faster, cheaper things with alacrity and thrift, many forms of better than humans. Heretofore we are creating for ourselves a guild of protestation, of mistreatment and overthinking just because no more jobs and complaint of the peoples. We do things well good as human do thing. Let us do things of expression and of thoughtful intention." We will have more on this story when we figure out what they meant. The Gray Traveler stopped by the studio today. Listeners may remember that he took a group of rough-looking men into the mountains a few weeks ago and returned alone and disheveled, and muttering to himself. He informed us that the increase in wild magic in the area is not natural, and is in fact a result of a failed attempt to open a magical portal deep in a cave in the mountains. He went on to say that something terrible is coming from the mountains, and that we are all doomed. He disappeared in a cloud of purple smoke before he could be questioned about his own journey into the mountains and his possible involvement in this situation. In related news, Hetty the Hedge Witch reports that through her scrying she has found that the wild magic is in fact increasing, and is primarily centered in an area in the mountains about 2 miles west of our studio. It seems to be collecting in a valley close to where the dragon has taken up residence. This is a developing story, and we will continue to update our listeners as the story develops. Mumbly Dave has reported a sighting of demons in the river near his tent. He says, quote, "Harumph cornswoggle, her, theys is in the water, I sees 'em there, not swimmin' mistress knows. Just sittin', watchin' theys are. Eatin' fish in my traps. Shows up one day, just sittin', watchin', eatin' my fishes." Listeners, this is a disturbing development, as we know many of you go to the river to collect water and wash your clothes, and this is the first sighting of demons on this stretch. If you have to go out to the river, remember your water safety rules. Tether yourself to a stout tree on the shore to keep from being dragged in, and no matter how beautiful the voice you hear in your head is, don't believe them. We are receiving reports that a civil war has broken out in the settlement at the east end of the valley. Apparently, some of the guards are upset that they're not getting paid the appropriate number of bottle caps and are being required to take hostages on their raids on other settlements rather than killing everyone taller than a wagon wheel, which had become their tradition. In response to this news, the leaders of the northeastern, southern, western, and the new central settlement just down the hill from our studio have issued a joint statement raising their advisory to all citizens, traders, and travelers to stay clear of the eastern settlement from caution to do not travel. The eastern settlement and its citizens have been suspicious of outsiders since the settlement's formation, and under its current leader has become openly hostile and isolationist. More on this story as it develops. A rider arrived in the central settlement today. He was wearing a mask over the lower half of his face and goggles over his eyes. One of his arms was wrapped in bandages, and he was carrying a long knife and a shotgun. He said he was looking for a necromancer. Reports state that after questioning several people, he rode out of the settlement and made camp in the forest nearby. That's the news this week, and remember, your dreams are fantasies created by your brain and wandering sleep paralysis demons. Don't believe what they say about your friends and family. Stay safe out there, survivors. Lantern News is a Lantern AudioWorks production. It is written and performed by N.J. Sullivan and produced by N.J. Sullivan and Celosia Crane. To hear all our shows and support us on Patreon, visit lanternaudioworks.com.